brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Vulnerability School podcast. Today we have Mika Bruin. She is my energy healer. She's a medicine woman. She does so many cool things. She does all different types of healing and knows about all these different types of medicines. And I've had so many breakthroughs in her. I feel like I can't say office because it's not an office. Because it's just like your space.
Yeah,
like
my
it's
space.
It's just like a sacred space. Yeah. And she just really fully embodies herself and like who she is. And I just think you're so amazing. Every question I ever have about anything, I message her, and she is always just like, she's just this pure bright light, and I want everyone to know what she does and go to her. Like, I've done a lot of energy healing sessions and a lot of work, but every time that I have been in yours, I have huge breakthroughs every single time. And it's not anything. I feel like it's just like that you create this safe, sacred space for that to happen. I'll share them. But okay, yes. I want you to kind of tell us a little bit about you and like how you got into all of this work.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been such a treat just getting to know you and building a relationship with you. And with what you're up to in the world is so inspiring, Jenna. Like, seriously, it is incredible. It really takes something to do what you're doing and showing up in the way you're showing up. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you for that because it's huge and it's amazing. You know, I have been in, personal growth since I was 22. So I worked with...
You definitely seem like the type of person that's like super into it. Like you're always learning, always growing constantly. And I feel like we relate totally in that way. I'm like addicted to growth.
Yes. You know? Yes. Like my soul has always craved it, even since I was younger. And I've always had gifts when I was a little girl, but I never really knew how to embrace those. I think as I've got older and in my 20s, like I'd mentioned, a lot of personal growth. But then in my 30s, after my divorce, I hit a point and I'm like, all right, I need something more because what I'm doing here, it's causing transformation, but I need something spiritually that'll really, really shift some things in my healing, right? Mm-hmm. And so I started going to different ceremonies, right?
Like, what did you start with?
I started with Hapé, which is the medicine I serve now.
Okay. But you were still like LDS at this point, right?
No.
Oh, you weren't. Okay.
Yeah. So about 2 years after I got divorced is when I started getting into plant medicine. Okay. And sitting with it and tapping into the spiritual side. Yeah. And so...
That's because you started with Hapé. I feel like that's something I discovered as I was doing other things.
Right. So, and that's the thing is I think a lot of people go straight into the deeper medicines when really Hapé is just a really beautiful foundational medicine.
Explain what that is, because I know some people won't know what it is.
Yeah. So Hapé is a shamanic snuff from the Amazon tribes. So it's basically a tobacco plant mixed with other medicinal plants. So it's really sacred and holy to the indigenous people in North and South America.
And it's like when I first did it, I was like, what the fuck? Yes. Because I did it first time in a mushroom trip because they wanted to like shift the energy to help me get out of a bad spot. Yeah. And you literally, what is that thing called?
A tepe.
A tepe. You like put this thing and it has two holes and like someone will blow the tobacco into your nose and you like breathe it in and then it and then you do the other nostril and it kind of gives you like this little like high, like, but it's like not like weed high or mushroom high. It's like, it's just like this like shift.
It's a masculine medicine. So it's very grounding. So it'll pull you in the body very, very quickly. So, people talk about the monkey mind, right? Yes. How it's literally nonstop. Mm-hmm. So this medicine is one that completely strips that. So you can tap into the body and into the heart space so that you can actually feel what's going on. Because I think a lot of times we suppress. Yeah. Right. And we push things to the side. That's how we're conditioned, right? That's how we're raised. Oh, everything's fine. If you act a certain way other than happy, you're crazy. Something is wrong with you, right? Totally. And so this medicine, at least for me, has really taught me to embrace who I am and also embrace the different emotions that are surfacing at any time and really just honor them and sit with them and be with them. And so it's a really powerful medicine in that way, as far as even just detoxing the mind, body, and spirit. And so it's powerful. Yeah. It's so powerful. I think people kind of minimize it in a way because it's not ayahuasca or psilocybin. And it's like, hey, these medicines can be pulled through in Hapé if you can really tap in, right? Totally. And so it's profound. It's a profound medicine. And so I started with this medicine, right? And I sat with it for quite a bit, and then I sat with some other medicines, and then I was told, like, you need to do this. And I was like, oh, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing that, because holding space for people is one thing. And also it's another thing when you are serving medicine, because there is a reverence that comes with medicine.
Yeah.
There's a relationship that needs to be built with medicine before even serving the medicine, right? If you don't know this medicine in and out, how it's moving through you, how in the hell are you going to hold the container for someone else, right?
For sure.
Right. So I really got to build a relationship with the medicine and really honor it. And then I just had a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So then I just started holding space for the medicine. But here's the thing, you know, I did hit a point again, that moment when I felt very lost in my life. I felt like something was missing within me. And I knew that there was something more. And I think that there's a lot of people out there like that, where it's like, oh my God, there's this calling. There's something more that's my soul like is yearning for, but I don't know what that is. And sometimes people do have little nudges on what that is, but they're too afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
they just like doubt themselves. Like, oh no, like, yeah, like you said, I don't want to do that. I can't do that.
Yeah. And so it's like, for me, it's listening to those little nudges and trusting yourself and following each little thing that you're being presented with, because it will lead you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so, you know, I've been in this for, I think, 3.5 years. And it's just getting bigger and bigger, which is so profound. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I think you're really good. And I'm sure you had to work on this, but like trusting your intuition. Yes. Like for me, it's hard. Like I'll feel something and that I need to do, and like I'll do it, but I still just like, I feel like I don't fully trust it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I think intuition is such a big thing, especially for women, you know, and we've talked about this as far as like, you know, we're conditioned at such a young age to shut off any signals of trusting ourselves, right? And I gave you an example. I was reading Alexander Roxo has an incredible book called Dare to Feel. And we've talked about this. I talked about this on your call, but I feel it's important to share here, right? Yeah. It's like at a young age, we are taught to, like, you know, you go to school, you drink a juice box, and the teacher says you cannot use the bathroom, right? Until after school. So immediately when you're 6 years old, you're thinking, holy shit, I have to pee.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah.
Because the teacher says you can't use the bathroom, right? So immediately at 6 years old, you start shutting off all of those natural or internal, you know, messages to respond and act and listen to the body, right? And so now as adults, it's like we are literally unraveling all of that.
Yeah.
We're unraveling like, I shouldn't actually step in this relationship with this person. Oh, I should leave this relationship. Oh, I should say this or I shouldn't say this, right? It's like this dance of really trusting ourselves.
Yeah, and trusting yourself, because I feel like we have been taught to trust everyone else's opinion.
Yes.
Because they know way more than us. But then like stepping into this and like all this transformation and really connecting with your body, it's like, oh wait, I actually have the answers.
Yes.
And it's a huge shift.
It is a huge shift. It is a huge shift, but getting to that takes work.
Yeah.
Getting to that is sitting in your shit. Getting to that is sitting with your anxiety, is sitting with being alone, is sitting with all the freaking thoughts that are running nonstop and being like, I've got you. But you get to meet yourself at this depth that most don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Most don't want to meet themselves in the depths because all their shit comes forward. And if all your shit comes forward, then there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. Versus, oh my God, all of this is coming forward and it's actually beautiful. And I get to look at it.
Yeah.
And move through it, right?
Yeah. And something I've been thinking about so much is that it's coming forward anyways. Like it comes up every single day. So are you going to like process it in a healthy way, or are you going to keep rejecting it and keep rejecting it? And then it comes out in like, it manifests in so many different ways, in your relationships, in your unhealthy relationships, in your road rage, in the way you treat your employees, and you know, it's so, because I feel like I'm so passionate about this stuff. So I always want everyone to understand it, and I want everyone to heal, and I want everyone to go to therapy. And I just wish I could make it click in their brain that like, this is already happening in your life. Yes. And I feel like this healing and all that you do and the energy work and like therapy, it's like a cheat code for life. You know what I mean?
It's a total cheat code.
I'm like, you just get to be your best version.
Yes.
And be happy, you know, and be sad and be okay in both.
Right. And it's like how you mentioned, you know, it already comes up in your everyday life. It's like when you have these tools, right? When you really start embodying these tools and just having a lot in your toolbox, because things will continually always come up, right?
Yeah.
You'll know how to sit with it differently. You'll move differently. Totally. You'll respond differently. Right? You'll show up differently versus it consuming you for months and months and months and weeks. It's like, oh, I actually am observing what's happening here. Let me sit with this. Do I need to sit with this, or do I need to make a call to my mentor and be like, get me the fuck out of this? What? I'm not seeing something. I thought I worked through this.
Yeah.
But it's coming up again, you know?
And I feel like once you're able to like release all this trauma and these things, like you have way more space for the new and the good, you know? But I feel like when we're holding on to so much and so much resentment and have all this resistance to healing, and we're not allowing ourselves to come into this space, then there's not space for more to come in.
Well,
you
exactly.
Know what I mean?
Exactly. And I love that you touched on that, because I just recently did a post about this, as far as like, you know, we ask the universe so many times, or God, or whoever your higher power is, right? For things. We say, please show me, please guide me, please present these things. And then the universe does present all the things on the platter, but yet it's not time.
Yeah.
I don't like the way this is shown. This is too hard. So we say, fuck it. I don't want to do this. Right. Yeah. And then the universe is thinking, you just asked for something. I gave it to you and you don't like it. Right. And so not everybody is willing to receive what's presented on the motherfucking platter.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
and so it's really getting in that practice of, okay, I asked for this and it just showed up. Even though I don't like the way it showed up, but it's showing me something that maybe I need to look at. Maybe I need to dissect this, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really powerful, like recognizing that and letting go of expectations of how things are going to come. Because we have an agenda.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't fulfill that agenda or the expectations, then we get fucking pissed.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, why isn't this? And it's just like, okay, if we could just put all that aside and strip that, I think life would be very different.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like, because things just always work out how they're supposed to. And like, when I look back in my life, the hardest times I've ever experienced that I was just like, why in the world? For example, like my engagement when I was 21, like I was so like, thought I was so in love with him and I thought everything was supposed to work out. And I was just so like completely destroyed that it didn't work out. Like I literally didn't want to be here anymore. I was like, what's going on? Now I look back and I'm like, thank God I had that experience. Now I relate to so many women that have been engaged or even divorced. Like I feel like I kind of understand a little bit because I went through that, and it broke me down so bad that I feel like my heart was able to be so open, you know? And it's beautiful, you know? And I feel like I really had to break to be able to be open. And now I am so open to all this world of healing, and it's totally changed my life. And now we're here changing other people's lives.
Yes. I think, you know, I believe that the most profound teachers in the world are ones that have gone through the most fuckery.
Yeah, totally.
You know, because when you go through something like it just expressed, you know, with your engagement, it cracked you open. And when you're cracked open, you have a chance to stay open and really like allow yourself to dissect all the stories, all the beliefs in that opening of what's alive for you.
Yeah.
You know, because oftentimes, again, we can close right up, right? And when those moments happen and the pain's there, and that's
push it all away.
And push it all away.
And then it will just come up later.
Exactly. Yes. So it's powerful, you know? It really is powerful.
I just think like your sessions are so powerful. Even just talking to you right now, I'm like, wow, okay, what's going to come up for me today? I'm like, oh no.
Oh no.
But okay, so I'm trying to think, how did I meet you? I don't remember.
So Melissa, your coach, referred you.
Oh, and you came and did a sound bath and a cacao ceremony for my girls, which was so amazing. And I was just like, one of my favorite things about you, we have so much we could talk about. One of my favorite things about you was that, why do I feel like I'm going to cry? was that you were just like, you came and you weren't so serious. Like you were so silly. Like you were like almost just like fully embracing who you are and so fun. Like you did the sound bath and I'd never really seen someone do that. Like bring their personality into it. And I felt so much more connected to you because you're making like all these jokes as you're like putting sage around the room. I'm like, who is she? You know? I was like, she's so cool. And so you did that. And then I was like, I want to book a session with her. I had a friend, Tim, that did a session with you. And then my life coach would talk about you. Yeah. And so I was like, I need to go do a session with her. And so then I had just come home from ayahuasca and I saw you post on your story that you had an opening for a spot in a session with like Cal and Hapé and what's the I thing?
Sananga.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that.
Yes, girl.
That opened my world up to something completely new. And so I booked the session and it's like a group session that we did. So there was me and 3 other people. I brought my friend Josh and we were in the session. I'd just gotten back from ayahuasca and I wanted to go again because I was just like, oh, I need to go again. And this was so crazy. This has never happened to me ever in my life until this time. And do you know what I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to say. I know you're going to say. And so I'm sitting there and I'm laying down and I think I'd had a little bit of cacao. That's it. And you were going around and like giving everyone the Hapé, like administering the Hapé. And I remember you were 2 people away from me and, I was laying down and I heard you say to this girl I don't even know. And I heard you say so clear as day, it was silent in the room. And I heard you say to her, ayahuasca is not in your plan right now. And I was like, what? And I like literally sat up and you were like still talking. And I was like, there's no way she just said to this random girl, ayahuasca is not in your plan right now. But I heard it. I knew you said it. So then I just like laid down and I was just like, what in the world? And then I was like, is that meant for me? I'm like, no, I want to go do ayahuasca again. It wasn't for me, you know? And then I'm just laying there and I was like, wow. And I had this big breakthrough and I was like, I actually think that I need to integrate more of what I learned from my ayahuasca journey instead of just going and doing it again, you know, and opening that like portal up again. Like I need to integrate all of these breakthroughs that I experienced. And so then at the end of the session, I came up to you and I was like, did you say this? And you like laughed and you're like, no. And I was like, oh, but I literally heard it. I heard you say that. I saw your lips moving. I know you said it, but actually I know you didn't, but it was so crazy. But I think you just create such a sacred space for things like that to happen, which is so cool. Because like, also, sometimes I think we get in our heads and I think like, I'm not worthy of something like that happening to me. I'm not worthy of hearing a voice. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I heard it in your room. Heard it. And then I want to talk about my other session too. Yes. So you posted about another session and same thing. I'm pretty sure it was the same thing. Yeah. Right. And so I signed up for the second session. And I was so excited to go because it was a really stressful time, but I remember I was feeling a little bit sick. Like, and I had been experiencing so much brain fog. Brain frog. Brain frog. Yeah. But I had been, I'd just done a foot zone and then I'd also just done my hair scan. I think this is all around the same time. Yeah, I did it before, right? Yep. But I was so sick, like so sick. I thought I had a kidney infection because I've had one before. And that's like, I had really bad pain in my whole body. And I just felt so gross. So I made myself throw up because I was like, I just want to feel better. And then I did an enema because I was like, I need to get things moving from my body. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to feel this. Like, I just feel like someone's stuck. And so I came to this energy session and you knew something was off immediately, obviously. Yeah. And so, because I was literally like on my way there, I was like, I should not be going to this. Like, I was not okay. And then the whole session I had to lay down because my body was hurting so bad, but I was still there. And then I did Hapé and you even said that like you put a bucket next to me because you knew I was going to throw up. Like you knew it was coming. Oh yeah. But I'm in this session and we did the Hapé and then I'm like laying there and I had like a big partnership. I was trying to figure out if I was going to do it. And I was talking to you about it. And I was just like so nervous. And I just kind of felt like I didn't have a voice almost. And I don't know. And then I literally, sorry guys, but I projectile vomited. I've never in my life done that. And I felt so horrible, but you just took care of me. It was so nice. Yep. And
I got you, girl.
I'm like, sorry, this session turned into you being my doctor, but
hey, it comes with it. Yeah. That's what happens.
But when I did that, I feel like I released so much.
You did.
I was still sick. Then I went to the ER after, but it was just like, I just sat in there and I feel like I just learned so much about myself. Like, I feel like you really helped me understand, like, Jenny, you can do all that you're doing on your your own. You've already done it on your own and you can get help from other people. But like you are like the face of your business and you've created this. And it just helped me so much like realize that like I have so much power over my own life and that like the universe is always working in my favor. And that like, if I just keep tapping into that, things are going to expand and grow and everything's going to work out exactly how it needs to. And also I feel like you've helped me realize that the universe is working for me. It's not against me. Like it wants everything good to happen to me. You know what I mean? Yes. And I think that sometimes we think that it's like against us or like, or if you believe in God, that God hates us or like that things are, but I really truly believe that everything is working in our favor, even with our bodies. I think sometimes things come up with our bodies to show us, that we need to change. Like we need to do something different, or we experience depression or suicidal ideation because there's a part of us that does need to die, that we do need to let go of.
Yes.
And I just think it's so powerful to rewire your brain so that you can understand what these things are trying to tell you instead of just completely neglecting them and not learning.
Right.
So,
yes. And that's like your sessions were so powerful, like really so profound, but you were willing to lean in.
Yeah.
That last session that when you purged, it's like you bowed down to what was being shown to you. You were like, you knew things were stirring, things physically in your body, things were just not right. You had this big meeting, all these things were shifting, but you allowed yourself to surrender to the medicine so that it could pull forward truth, so that you could see, really more so remember who you are and the power that you hold. And that's what I'm committed to in facilitating, right? I'm not above, I'm not below. I'm just here as a space holder for you to strip the fucking skin suit, to step into your motherfucking power and know who you are. But again, all these other things get in the way. Like your body physically was telling you all the things.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like I was so stressed and my body was like, okay, let's slow down. I'm going to make you sick because you're not going to listen to me.
Exactly.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And you know what? This was really cool. In that session, I remember laying there just in pain and I just heard another voice. Literally, I've only ever heard a voice in your little like space. It's so weird. It's so not weird. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
And it just said like, your body is healing because I've been trying to work through my OCD. I feel like I have heavy metals in my body. Like I did the hair scan that said there was like a mold in my body and like different things, you know? And I just was laying there after I threw up and it was just like, your body is healing your body. And I was just like, okay, you know?
Yes. It's so cool. Powerful. I love that. It's like the medicine is so beautiful in the way it can really work with people if you allow it, if you can just surrender and really allow it to seep into all the cracks, remove the masks, the walls. And it like has a way of lifting, right? You know, I think oftentimes we sit in our stuff and we're in our, shit and we cry and then we're like, I just feel heavy and I can't get out of this, right? And I feel like when you're sitting in this medicine, it's like you do sit in that because you meet yourself in that, but then there's this lifting.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck just happened?
And I think something that's so powerful about medicine is it helps you get there so that you can also get there without it. Like once you've already tapped in, like I feel like I can tap in. Yep. And because I know I've been there with like microdosing, for example, like my body's already been there. I know what it feels like. Yep. I can remember and I can tap back into it. Like I've allowed myself to experience that so we can go right back in.
Well, and that's the thing is it's because you're integrating. Yeah. You're calling forward the vibration of the medicines and your practices. You're embodied in your practices. Now people can do medicines and then they're not even integrating it. Literally. And then they're like, well, wait a second, that didn't even work. It's like, well, are you integrating everything that you experienced in that moment? You know, whatever came through for you, whether that was, oh my God, I try to control everything in my life. Next moment you have a situation where you're controlling. How are you sitting in that control? Are you surrendering? Are you like, I want to control this, but I'm going to sit back for a minute. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Like it's a practice. So I'm just, for you, it's like, it's beautiful to see because you're doing the fucking work. You know what I mean? Yeah. 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 So, yeah, I love it so much. And it was so like such a big eye opener for me when I was in your session. I was told by them, whatever, to not go do ayahuasca again. I was like, it was the spirit of the medicine, right? It was moving through you. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess I do have to integrate. And it's been really good. Like, I feel like I've integrated so much and I'm learning so much and I really want to go back and do ayahuasca again, but I'm just like waiting for my call, I guess, to just be like, not forcing it. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Some people want to just force it. Like you're like, I'm going right back. Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. But then you sat there and you're like, let's integrate.
Yeah.
Let's sit.
Yeah.
You know, because I think
something that's so nice about the medicine is like ayahuasca just forces you to go so deep, and it's so much faster than like the day to day of like, that part is so important of the day to day, like the slow,
the slow.
Yeah.
That's the important part. And here's something that I've really gotten, I went to Mexico a few months ago and sat with some indigenous tribes out there. And I had an incredible breakthrough around my truth. It's almost like when you are in, on your healing journey and you've had massive breakthroughs, you've discovered maybe some traumas, maybe some beliefs about yourself, maybe some truths about your childhood or what happened or things that have occurred in your world. There's almost this level of being in this cocoon, right? Where you're in this sacred cocoon of everything that was just shown to you, everything that you just discovered for yourself. And oftentimes I think people want to emerge from this cocoon way too soon, right? This is where people jump into the medicine real fast and they are not slow, like you're saying. And so it's this level of, embody and more so being in those practices so that when you are ready to emerge, you're embodied in those practices. Therefore, you're a walking embodiment of who you are, of those practices, right? And I think that's really big. You can really tell the difference between someone who is embodied in their practices and someone who's not embodied. This even goes to the level of being, embodied in feminine energy, right? And women are always like, I want to be feminine, or, oh my God, there's this woman that just walked in the room and she's just like magnetic. What the fuck is it about her, right? She's not wearing anything special. She's not wearing any special makeup or doing anything, specifically. It's just her energy. There's something she carries. Yeah. And so that's what I love guiding women on, is getting so embodied in who they are that they don't have to show up in any way. It's you're showing up in you, because that's magnetic to people.
And they don't have to live for anyone else.
Fuck no.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. And I think that you have totally been able to do that. And so I think that's why you're so incredible at guiding women through this, because you've done it and you know it's possible.
Oh yeah, girl. Oh my God. I used to be so insecure, not know who I was.
And had OCD.
Had OCD. I relied on my mom for everything. She passed away 14 years ago from breast cancer. And I relied on her for everything. Mom, what should I do? What should I say? How do I respond to this person?
Had no confidence in your own voice.
No confidence at all. And so when she died, when I was 24, I was like, holy fuck, who am I? Right? So it kind of started that journey for me. And then even more so now in my 30s, right? But it's it's wild to see, when there is someone embodied, it's not a quick thing. This is something that, at least for me, that has been over 15 years of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's taken a lot of fucked up shit that's happened in my world. Right. And really leaning into whatever's being shown. And so, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. It's so cool. Yeah. I would love to know what are the biggest things that you see come up in your sessions, especially with women versus men. Is there anything that you see, or do you feel like it's both the same kind of things?
I feel like it's very similar.
Okay.
Right. So if we take the gender out of it, right. And we really just connect into a soul.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what I'm really connecting to when I'm holding space for people is, I'm taking the gender away.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, I'm wanting to strip the skin suit so we can really go into your soul and really, really see who you are. Wow, and you can remember. Right. And so something that I've been seeing recently, I think it really shifts often because of what's happening in the collective. Everybody that comes in is usually going through something similar or something that I've recently gone through.
Wow.
It's how energy works. It's always how it works. And I'm like, holy shit, I literally just went through this.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool. And so because people aren't coming to me sharing something that I haven't been through, because then I'm not going to know how to guide them. This is where the spirit of medicine really moves through me, I feel like. And I say that in a humbling way, because I think that's where things can be pulled in to my practice. Because I don't have a lot of people that come in that I'm like, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so something recently I feel like that is really potent right now in the energy is truth. Is really honoring your truth. A lot of people don't even know what the fuck their truth is.
Yeah.
Right. And so and even boundaries. speaking truth, knowing who you are, knowing your yeses, knowing your nos. And, it's, at least for me, I had a profound experience, like I was mentioning to you, in Mexico around my truth, right? There was this conflicting energy within me around my truth and who I was. Like, I was like, I'm at this fucking, glass ceiling. It's cracked open, but I can't break through. What the fuck is going on? And I knew there was something missing for me, right? Therefore, how I showed up in relationships, I couldn't really speak truth because there was a conflicting, once again, energy within me, right? So again, when I went to Mexico, I discovered some truths about my childhood. I allowed myself to dive in and bow down to the work. There was a level of work I wasn't bowing down to because, just oftentimes we can do the medicine. We can say we're doing the work, but are we really fucking bowing down to what's being presented?
Yeah.
Are we really in this, like in a medicine journey, are we really like looking at it like, oh my God, they're showing me this and show me more. Show me more, take me there. Versus, oh, fuck this shit, don't show me. I don't like what's being shown. That happens a lot, right?
Oh, for sure. I'm like, yeah, I experience that all the time.
Yeah. Or even, let's say a relationship is presented for your expansion and growth, but it's too scary, so you want to fucking run. I see this all the time, which we should touch on that.
Yeah.
But so going back to this experience, right? Once I bowed down and I allowed myself to go back to an experience, which, by the way, ayahuasca tried to show me in December, and I did not bow down. So in this moment, I'm like, fuck it. And I had clients around me, women surrounding me. I'm the only one deep in some medicine here. And they're
so
holding
vulnerable.
Oh, so fucking vulnerable, especially because a lot of these were my clients.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a student here. Like, I'm a student. And it was so humbling. And so I bowed down and I discovered some truths about, what had happened when I was younger, why my mom died, why she kept getting cancer every fucking 6 years. And the main thing was because she didn't bow down to her fucking work and the truth of what happened to her. And so here I am playing this motherfucking thing out.
It's got chills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm playing this out in my relationship, this toxic relationship that I kept choosing to go back to. I'm playing the same thing out that my mom was playing out. And it was almost like, you can keep playing this out, but not saying I was going to get cancer and die and all these things, but look what happened here, right? So it was an opportunity for me to really lean into what was being shown for me. And it was profound, so profound. And so I share that because sometimes we're unable to be really honest with our truth because maybe there was a truth from the past that we're not willing to look at. So therefore, how can we be in truth? How can we move in truth?
Yeah.
How can we be like, oh, actually really honest about how you feel and call someone up and tell them about it instead of avoid or get anxious, withdraw, withhold, then leaving the other person like, what's going on, right? Like this all goes hand in hand and it's so potent and alive right now. And I think that even too, like boundaries, that's huge. And really honoring that and knowing in a boundary, sometimes people won't like the boundary. Sometimes people won't like your truth. So they may withhold. Therefore, it might bring up, oh my God, they're leaving me. They're not choosing me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I put a boundary up.
Also, like, I feel like people get a little confused because you're always there. You're always there, like, to drop anything for them, be the people pleaser in their life. And then all of a sudden you're saying no, and you're not the person that they thought you were, which of course you're not. You shouldn't be that person. You know what I mean? But I think some people are like a little, and this shows so much about them. If they're turned off by that, then they're not your person. You're not supposed to be with someone like that. They're not adding any value to your life. You're only adding value to theirs.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm sure you've seen people as you've done this, like kind of drop off from your life, because you just like, they don't maybe respect you in the ways that now you respect yourself because we teach people how to treat us.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like all of this just teaches us how to treat ourselves so that others can treat us way better. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, again, we want all these, we call forth specific relationships. We want these certain relationships, right? Oh, I want this soul to be this way and show up this way in my world. But it's like, well, what do I need to cultivate within myself?
Yeah.
To call that forward, right? Because again, if we're not embodying something, how can we expect it to come forward?
Yeah. Like if you're not at that frequency, I feel like you can't, or that vibration, like you can't attract something that's there. You got to get there yourself.
You do have to get there. And I also believe that when you are constantly elevating, you know, you brought this up, like people will fall off. And if, let's say you're in this expansive, you know, journey, right? Where you're constantly growing, like I was saying, and let's say someone comes into your world and they're not quite willing to springboard and meet you, they will fall off. But that is an opportunity. This is what I see a lot all the time is relationships. There's this thing presented, right? Where people have an opportunity to grow and expand because we're all fucking mirrors for each other.
Yeah.
Every relationship that we get in, it is showing you an unhealed part about yourself, right? Or they're inviting you into something, right? And so again, a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And so people do fall off. Something that I think is really powerful around vulnerability. I mean, you and I kind of talked about this, just being vulnerable in relationships, right? We've talked about our relationships together before. And, you know, I think that a lot of people fear being vulnerable because of what if somebody leaves if I'm vulnerable? But something I'm seeing is that anytime I bring forward vulnerability, and I'm really fucking honest with what's so for me, in that moment, it invites somebody else to be vulnerable.
Yeah, totally.
Or not. There's two choices in that moment. And you can see very, very quickly where someone is at when you start opening up and you share, which obviously this is in discernment, right? With your vulnerabilities. But when you start sharing, you will know quickly, let's say in a relationship with somebody, because again, in that moment, you're inviting them in, you'll see where they're at. If they're willing to go there with you and look.
Yeah.
If they're not, you know they're not willing to meet you. I see this all the fucking time. You know?
Yeah, I feel, and it's like, it's so hard. It's so hard that you can't change people and that you can't bring them to your level. And especially, you actually said this to me, that I had an experience with a relationship that I'd been in. And I just like, I did a big mushroom trip. This is like 2 years ago, right when I was getting into mushrooms. And I was like trying to let go of this relationship I'd been in for like on and off for like 3 years. And I had this experience where I felt like we were our highest selves and like we were like little kids, and it was so fun. And I was so confused. And I asked you, do you remember this? And you might not remember this. And you said, well, that's because that highest version of him does exist, but he can choose to honor that or he can choose not to.
Yes, I remember that.
And he wasn't, you know, the highest version that I imagined for him, maybe, I don't know, like he's awesome person, but we weren't aligned, you know? And I feel like I saw that and had that experience because I was supposed to understand that like, yes, that could exist, but it's not, you know, and it's not happening.
Right. The reality is that person didn't want to step into that with you. Because I think we get connected all the time. We have these really beautiful soul connections. And if sometimes people don't want to meet us there, or maybe we don't want to meet them, right?
Yeah.
Either way. And so, but it's really recognizing that. And I think that's the attachment. That's what's really hard for people. Cause it's like, oh wait, but there's this thing and the connection and I love them, but it's like, this is unhealthy.
Yeah.
They're not meeting you.
Yeah.
So why are you staying in this? Because I want to stay on this fucking merry-go-round and keep this game playing. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you going to get off the merry-go-round and step into your fucking truth and power? Or are you going to keep playing in the game? I fucking played in the fucking merry-go-round for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was I doing?
Because you're almost comfortable in the chaos, you know? And I feel like you have to get to a point when you have to allow yourself to not be comfortable in that anymore. And it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting comfortable and in your power.
Yeah.
In the regulation, right? Your nervous system, like being regulated in your power versus like feeding off of the chaos and dysregulation. Like we're talking about. You and I can relate a lot on that because we were raised in chaos.
Yes.
So like everything's just like, ooh, we're going to go in chaos. We're going to attract chaos. And that's how we thrive.
And this is comfortable.
It's comfortable. Yeah. When really it's like, it's a practice for me to move slow and to plan ahead and to shift a little bit. It's like, oh, this actually feels good planning ahead.
Yeah.
Feels good to be early.
And like, oh wow, it feels good to be safe, you know?
Safe.
Like, because I feel like growing up, we weren't as safe as maybe we could have been, I guess. And so I'm very comfortable not being safe. And my brain constantly is trying to find ways for me to not be safe or tell me that I'm not safe constantly. Like with my OCD, I have all these intrusive thoughts of like, someone's in the house right now, they're going to murder you, or you're going to hit that person, you're going to hit that little kid if you're driving too fast, or you're going to constantly, because it's almost like my brain is constantly trying to attract that because that's what I'm so used to. So it's slowing down and creating that practice of like, no, this isn't safe.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's having an awareness of like, I teach this to my clients a lot that have had a lot of their safety disrupted. And basically throughout their day, I'm like, when in that moment did you feel safe throughout the day? Did that conversation make you feel safe? Did you slowing down make you feel safe? Going fast, did it make you feel safe? What did it feel like in your body to be safe? Like, what does that feel like in your body? And so it's like that unraveling and being conscious.
For some people, it is so hard because you haven't felt that since you were like a little kid and really understanding. Like, I feel like when we came into this world, like we really understood ourselves. We understood who we were and like what we said. Yeah, we had the best boundaries. No, I don't want to do this. Yes, I want to do this. And we stayed in our energy and we could feel other people's energy. And we didn't just trust everything that everybody said because we knew. We came here as our pure, most authentic, best selves. And then it's like so shifted. And I feel like this whole life in this journey is just trying to go back to that little kid that knew, you know?
Yes.
And like being silly and interacting and like being your true self. Like we just did this huge breathwork session at my last event on Saturday and everyone was screaming and crying and howling. And it was so beautiful because, and the breathwork girl kept saying like, I want you to scream for the versions of you that never got to scream. I want you to cry for the versions of you that never got to cry. And everyone is just screaming at the top of their lungs. And it was so beautiful. I was like, hell fucking yeah. Like, let's get into this. You know?
My God, I love
like,
that.
I feel like I feel like have this mission of just like, I want everyone to come back to that. Like you just like fully embrace your silly, fun, authentic self. And you're like, literally, I feel like you're never super serious. Like you just bring fun into everything because healing can be fun, you know? And I think we have this image of healing as it's this dark, scary thing, but like, it's so fun to like, let that little kid that's been hiding in a tiny little corner for 20 years to come out and show themselves, you know?
Yes. It's like, it's because I think we live in this illusion. Of what we think life should be, who we should be, how we should. And so we forget. So we're just these little kids in adult bodies that want to come out like you're saying, but yet we're like, oh, what are they going to think? You know, it's like that.
When really everybody is thinking that. And that is the worst way to live.
I know. It's like really, this is what I love about medicine in this work is it's the goal, I think, or intention is breaking free from the prison in your mind, you know, because it's keeping us captive. It's keeping you from fully embracing and attracting the abundance and the relationships and really who you are in the world. And because here's the deal, we all are gifted. We all have psychic abilities. I do believe this, but can you tap into it? Can you access it? Can you get a little nudge that the universe plants in your little mind that says you should do this? And are you going to listen? You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone lives in this fear. I've done it. I even have moments of doing it, right? And so it's like, it's just wild how it all works, you know?
Yeah, it's so true.
Oh,
this is so good. That I feel like just that part that you said, say that again, breaking free from the prison in your mind.
So,
it's so true. We're just like these chains are just tied to us and we really have to break free. Like you have to allow yourself to do it.
Yes. To break free from the prison in the mind. To be liberated.
That's so beautiful.
To be free.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what I want to see happen as I have clients sit in front of me.
Yeah. It's almost like we're hiding from ourselves.
Exactly.
Like stop hiding from yourself. You know who you are, you know, let yourself be that beautiful, authentic, bright, bubbly, maybe angry, sometimes sad version of you, whatever it is. Like just, it's so sad.
Well, you know what the thing is though, like for me, I couldn't really tap into it and fully embrace parts of myself because there were of that conflicting energy and not knowing who I was because that truth wasn't revealed for me. So it was like, I didn't know how to embrace that. So I think oftentimes we people say that, embrace who you are. And, you know, yes. But also there's a level of maybe like, cause I think there's bypassing that happens a lot in that. And it's really getting real with, again, the reality of things that have happened or what's alive for you. So you can unravel that so you can break free.
Yeah.
So there's so much behind it.
And understand yourself. Understand why you do the things you do, why you're triggered by little things. Like, I think there's so much beauty in understanding why you do what you do instead of just not understanding yourself and then no one else can really understand you either, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
it's so true.
Like for you, like understanding like your childhood trauma or like why different things happened and why you act a certain way. Like it all makes sense and then you're able to move through it.
Yes. Oh, girl. It's like recently all the puzzle pieces were put together for me on how I showed up, why I attracted what I attracted. Like it was mind blowing. And I'm 39, right? And I've been in this work a long fucking time. And I'm like, what in the hell? Why? What is happening?
Yeah.
Like, how did I not see this? Because there was a part of me that didn't want to bow down.
Yeah.
You know, that's
totally.
why. So it's profound.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's so cool that you're able to like just release these little things so that you can fully step into your power because it's so hard. But I feel like there's so many versions of you that are so excited and so happy that you finally gotten to this point, you know, and you're going to continue because it never ends.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes too, something that gets a little mixed up is that like healing is a forever thing. You know, it's not like one day we just get to a point where we're healed.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a forever thing. So like, we just have to embrace it. And I feel like something that I've been trying to do lately is like embrace all my emotions when I'm angry. Like it's okay to be angry. That's also an authentic version of myself is to be angry and to have emotions that are not the most pleasant,
right?
You know, and to be upset and to be really sad. And I've just tried to, instead of resisting these emotions, I've tried to honor them. Like, oh, okay, I'm anxious. Let's be anxious. You know, let's sit in this because the more I resist it, the worse it gets. So I'm really doing myself a disservice if I keep resisting everything.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just being a curious student, like a humble student in those emotions and allowing it to be there.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced, I mean, the same thing as you're talking about, even especially in relationships, those fucking expose all your fucking shit. And there was
someone, I don't know who said this. I don't know if it was you or Matt Townsend, one of the two that said like your twin flame is your biggest trigger or something, which I totally like. I feel like when I'm in a relationship where someone just gets me and we're like vibing and I'm like, oh wait, like I just almost want to push back because I'm like, oh, like you get me too well that you're bringing up all this shit that no one's ever brought up before that I don't want to come up.
Yes.
You know, like, and you learn so much about yourself. Like I feel like in relationships, I'm a very nice person. I've been a people pleaser my whole life. So I feel like I'm always trying to like put forth my best self and like not show any bad parts of me. And I feel like relationships show me that like, oh, you have bad parts. Like you can be a bitch actually, you know, like, and sometimes you don't do things that are the greatest. And I feel like it's so humbling for me to be like, even though I try so hard, sometimes I fuck up and that's okay. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Really embracing that.
I know. It's so true. Yeah. Parts of ourselves really do get pulled forward. And it's are we going to sit with it and be with it and again, be curious on like what's being shown versus project. Because here's the other thing I see in relationships too is like there's, you know, we're mirroring shit back to each other. And sometimes there's projection that happens either from you or the other person instead of like looking at what's being presented and be like, holy shit, this is a me thing. They're just showing me something. It's not them, but we want to blame everything on them. And then we attack and start projecting, like I was saying. And that's really disempowering in relationships because I think in this world, it's all about being responsible for our healing, being responsible 100% for how we're fucking showing up. And we can cause transformation just like that in any relationship with our communication, as long as we're in our truth and honor our boundaries and who we are. Right. But that's a practice and the relationships get you there.
Yes.
You know?
And I think it's so important to notice that, like, if things are coming up for you in your relationship, it's not a horrible thing. It's a good thing because it's just showing you. And you can look at it as good or you can look at it as bad. You can look at it as bad and completely end things and then just go be on your own and not learn what you could have learned. But I mean, there also is a point where if it's a bad relationship, you got to get out. But
well, exactly. I think like you're saying, like there is a time where it's like, okay, this contract is complete. And then there's a level of, we're being invited into something beautiful.
Can we both go there?
Can we both fucking go there?
Yeah. if you're both willing to go there and create that safe space, it's drastically different from being in a relationship where only you are trying to go there or only they're trying to go there, which I feel like I've been in all of those relationships, and a little bit less of the most safe ones where you're both trying to work.
Yes.
But
it's so true.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because in a recent experience, I've had some really interesting stories around being chosen, you know, and which is really wild to me because I feel like I've worked through a lot of that. Like somebody choosing me. Mm-hmm. Are they going to choose me?
Yeah.
Are they going to want me? When really it's like, well, wait a minute. Are you choosing you? Are you honoring you? Because if you're not honoring you and you don't love you for you, how can anyone else choose you? So in this recent experience, it resurfaced this being chosen. And I'm like, what is this? What in the fuck? But really it went back to childhood, and something had happened in my childhood. And when it stopped happening, I was wanting this healthy masculine in my world to show up for me in a way where I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be held from the masculine, right? And so for me, this even goes back to when I got divorced. I would go out with guys. I would sleep with them on the first date. Every few months, I was probably sleeping with a new partner.
Yeah.
And which is very common. Mm-hmm. Oh, very, very common here, which that's not my thing anymore. That's just something, intimacy is very sacred. Mm-hmm. But there was a level after my divorce where I wanted to be chosen because of my ex. There was infidelity, right? So that moment of, oh shit, he's choosing someone else.
Yep.
So now, holy fuck, this is about me choosing me and stepping into my work now, right? So therefore, when I was dating and just playing around, I'm like, there was this unconscious part of me of being chosen, right? So, you know, fast forward to now, I literally thought I had worked through that. I had unraveled that. I went celibate for a year. I am very selective on my time and energy, who I date, who I'm intimate with, right? Like that is something that's a sacred container for me. And so when this got brought up, I was like, holy shit. The story back in the day was, if I'm not intimate with somebody, if I don't give myself to them, they're not going to choose me.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So if you put a kibosh on something, then they're not going to want me anymore. Right? When really it was just this illusion of being chosen, because it doesn't matter how I show up. It doesn't matter if I have sex with somebody or not. Somebody's going to choose me because they love me, not because of showing up or giving myself to someone or wearing something or trying to be sexual for somebody. Like, holy fuck, that's all an illusion. Yeah. So that's like, that was so potent for me, and the hugest breakthrough recently. And I was like, oh my fucking God, like all this ties back to the childhood.
Yep. Totally.
You know?
And I think the idea of all of these experiences is that your body was made for someone else. And I think realizing that, no, your body is made for you and that you get to make your decisions. And I think that's such a big breakthrough for women, because we're taught that we have to do everything for men, you know, that we're supposed to cater our entire lives for them. You know, we give birth to their babies, we clean their houses, we cook for them, we do the things that they need. Yes. And then sometimes, I mean, not everyone, but like our needs get rejected. Like we're almost just raised, even growing up LDS, like it's the man with the priesthood, they have all the power. And then where does that come in for us? You know,
but it's really like the women actually carry a lot of it. I think, okay, so here's the thing. I think if people could just drop the gender, the patriarchy, all the bullshit, and you just connected to a soul, we've talked about this. I think that people would be able to really step into their power. Versus, oh, you should cook, you should clean, you should work, you shouldn't work. No, you should both fucking step into whatever the fuck lights you up.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because it's disempowering being in that space.
Yeah.
But and people don't even know how to fucking show up either in relationships. Because let's say they date someone a woman that's successful, right? And she has a lot of money and she's got her businesses, and maybe this man doesn't maybe have as much. Then he's like, his masculinity is like shot, because he's like, oh my God, how do I show up for her? Yeah. Oh my God, drop all that. Yes. Just show up. Yeah. It doesn't matter, you know? And so obviously I think there's a dance within, the masculine and feminine and men and women, because there's an energy there. But really, if you think about it, really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think a relationship will be so much more powerful if you're stepping into what lights you up. Like, I love that you said that. And of course we have to do things that we don't want to do sometimes. That's how it works, you know? But like, if you really tap into what you love, you're going to spread more love and be more light. And your relationship's going to grow and expand instead of doing things that you hate and not showing up as who you truly are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about like, how can I show up in my highest, most expansive version for this person? And I think that that's where an energy exchange occurs too in a relationship, because if you're showing up as that, you're being that, you're embodied in that, you move in that, you give more, you receive more. You know, oftentimes we can give, but we can't receive, or we receive, but we can't give.
Yep.
So it's this dance, right? In a relationship and fully showing up in that.
Yeah.
So
I love that so much.
Yeah, babe.
Well, I'm so happy that you came on. We're going to have to come on again because we could literally talk all day.
I know.
It's so fun. We always send voice memos back and forth and they just go and go and go and go. And it's so beautiful.
Oh, it's my favorite. I love it.
I do have one question. And I know I didn't give you a ton of time to think about this, but if you could have everyone in the world understand one thing, what would it be?
One thing.
Everyone in the world understand one thing.
So much pressure. I think it's understanding yourself. If you could understand one thing in the world, it would be you.
Wow. That is beautiful.
Yeah. Because if you know you know, then you know yourself better than anyone, then your life will be absolutely incredible.
Wow.
That doesn't probably make any sense. How do I say that?
No, I didn't know. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
No, did you hear that, Abby? That was so good.
Okay,
that's probably my favorite answer I've ever received on the podcast. Literally.
Keep it then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Understand you. Wow. I'm like, I don't think I need to ever ask that ever again.
Nope. You're so cute.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, babe.
I want everyone to come do an energy session with you, and I'll link all your Instagram and everything so they can follow you. And we're gonna post a reels together, I'm sure. So we'll just.
Oh yeah, girl.
They'll just find you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Shanna. This has been so fun. Oh my gosh.
Of course. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much insight and wisdom here. I'm like, I just was sitting here in awe the whole time.
Oh,
so
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
and I always end in amen.
Amen, baby girl.